The nation's watching to see which party will win control of the Senate, since right now it's a jump ball. But as you'll see from our Fox News power rankings, the House is looking a bit more certain. Right now, our power rankings have 26 House races as toss-ups. Either party could win. Now take a look at Fox projecting, though, in a best case scenario for Democrats that they could end up winning 212 seats. That still would give Republicans a majority, but a slim one. In this potential best case scenario for Republicans, they could win 249 seats, leaving Democrats with very little leverage for the second half of President Biden's term. My next guest says this could be disastrous for the country. Joining me now, South Carolina Congressman James Clyburn, the third-ranking Democrat in the House. Congressman, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you very much for having me back.
I want to start here with some comments you made just a couple of days ago.
This is what happens in a country that follows what happened in Germany in the early 30s. This country is on track to repeat what happened in Germany when it was the greatest democracy going, elected a chancellor who then co-opted the media, and that's what's going on in this country. That is what will lead to the destruction of this democracy.
Congressman, you've repeatedly made comments about Hitler, about Nazism, about Germany in the 1930s in recent years. You've gotten a lot of pushback from that from Jewish organizations and others who say it belittles the suffering of the Holocaust, of the millions who were lost. Your response?
I've talked to many Jews. There are many Jews in my congressional district, and they are very supporters of mine. They know that this is the stuff that causes those kinds of deteriorations in democracy. This is not anything about how difficult it was. I talk about slavery and how difficult it was, but that to discuss the facts of what's going on here, election deniers, setting up procedures by which little committees by governors can overturn the results of election, to call the press the enemy of the people, to co-opt evangelicals. And I grew up in a Christian faith, in a parsonage, born and raised in a parsonage. I know a whole lot about religion. And I know there's always an attempt to co-opt religions, and that is what's going on here. And people want to deny it, that's fine. But the facts are very clear. I've studied history all of my life. I taught history. And I'm telling you, what I see here are parallels to what the history was in this world back in the 1930s,
so, Congressman,
in Germany, in Italy.
Are voters, though, out there listening to this message to infer from what you're saying that if they don't vote for Democrats in this election, that they are somehow supporting something akin to the rise of Hitler?
No, if they don't vote against election deniers, if they don't vote against liars, people who lie, know full well they're lying, we all know they're lying. This was the cleanest election in the history of the country. Donald Trump's own appointee said it was the cleanest in the history of the country. So if they're lying, they're denying, they're trying to delete, they're trying to nullify votes, vote against that foolishness.
So, Congressman, to look back on some of those conversations about election deniers, we've talked about on this show that Democrats have spent more than $40 million making sure that some of those people got through GOP primaries so that they could then face off in the general election. Do Democrats bear some responsibility for putting those people now on the ballot?
No, we didn't put them up.
But you spent millions to get them there.
I'm sorry?
But you spent millions to get many of them there where they are now on the general election ballot.
Well, you know, I have read about that. I believe that you should always try to best position yourself to win in the general election. I'm not a proponent of that process. I understand it takes place on both sides, but I'm just not a proponent of it. But I can understand it.
So I want to play a little bit more language over the last week from Democrats about what is at stake in this election.
Democracy as we know it may not survive in Arizona. That's not an exaggeration. That is a fact.
But there's something else at stake. democracy itself.
But losing this democracy could very well be the end of the world.
Okay, so are you asking voters to set aside what they feel about the economy? Because the Wall Street Journal, Kimberly Strassel has this piece. Voters have sat through this apocalyptic movie many times now and know it's anticlimactic ending. Besides, they're busy searching for spare change to cover their rising grocery bill. So set aside the economy, worries about crime, which are at the top of all of voter polls about what they're worried about, and instead vote for you or the world is ending?
Nobody's saying the world is ended.
You did say there, though, it could be the end of the world.
No, democracy will be ended. The world will continue to exist. The world was here before Hitler. The world was here after Hitler. That's what we're saying. No, the world will not end. The kind of world we have, the kind of country we have, we've got to decide how do we want to exist in this world. And that's what we're talking about. This hyperbole is not a part of what we are saying here. We're talking about what kind of country we have and what kind of world we have.
Okay, Congressman, just to be clear, though, I want to read your quote. It says, but losing this democracy could very well be the end of the world. That's a direct quote from you.
End of the world? Come on.
Well, a lot of voters feel that way. When you say that, they think they have the same reaction.
Well, if that's a quote from me,
yes, sir.
I misspoke. It won't end the world. No.
Okay, well, that's good news for everyone heading to the ballot boxes on Tuesday.
But having been one to teach history, we live in worlds that we do not like. My forebears lived through slavery. They did not like that existence for 250 years. But it was not the end of the world. It may be the end of the world as they would have it, but it will not end the world.
All right. Well, we are reassured to hear you say that, sir. We thank you for making time for us, Congressman Clyburn. Always good to talk with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.